Hey there, it is Dan Hall of Dan H411 Guitar Lessons. I've got lessons on YouTube every single week, so be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and come back for more. And today, if you're new to the channel, this is actually a second part to a four-part series that I'm doing right here on YouTube, so go back and watch that first part. And then I might already have two other parts done. I'm filming this in March of 2024, so might already have the other two parts done, might not. I don't know. Go check them out. But anyway, check out that previous one. But the interesting thing about this, and if you don't like math, you're going to hate what I'm about to say, is that this is a first part to a second part that I'm going to continue on my Patreon, but it's a second part to the fourth part that I'm doing all on YouTube. And then the fourth part is also going to continue on Patreon, so it's going to have a free bonus with it. But the reason I'm talking about my Patreon is because I do these things called the bare bones Bottega on Patreon, and they look like this. I'm in my studio, I'm not in front of my green screen, and occasionally, like what I want to do here, notice I'm stuttering because I'm not going to edit that out, and it's bare bones. That's the whole idea, right? So what I like to do on these is I like to go ahead and just kind of flesh out for you basically what I do on my Patreon channel, so you can see kind of what I do, where it's more intimate, it's more familiar. We're kind of just sitting here, we're chatting, and we're chilling. It's the next best thing to being in the room with me and getting lessons from me, which is coming. I will be doing that on my Patreon eventually, where I'll do some either group lessons or some one-on-ones, things like that. I'm still working out the details on that. I'm new to the whole YouTube thing, the whole guitar teaching thing, but I definitely want to explore that as well. So again, there's a first part to this lesson. This is going to be the second part, then there'll be a third part, then there'll be a fourth part, and then this part will continue on to the Patreon as well. Because what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take my song Arrhythmia, which is on the backing tracks on Patreon right now, and the song is out. In the lesson that I did before this one, I actually played the song for you. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And then what I'm going to do is today I'm going to show you a little bit more advanced than what I did in the last lesson. The last lesson I showed you the basic Locrian and Phrygian boxes that are over this song. I'll show you those again here real quick, but then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to play Phrygian pentatonic and Locrian pentatonic, or at least variations on a 5-note box that you can play with Phrygian and Locrian. And then when we go into the Patreon lesson, it will be a little bit more advanced, where I'll go ahead and take the Locrian and show you some interesting things that are in the Locrian that you may not know about. And I might touch upon them a little bit here, but we'll work on them a little bit more there. So again, this is a sample of what the bare bones Bottega looks like. If you go over to my Patreon, you'll see that these kinds of lessons, they're bare bones Bottega, right? They're basically really raw, intimate, uncut, and the reason I do them this way is so that you can get the full experience rather than seeing all this flashy, showy editing stuff that I do when I use like my green screen. Like you can see my green screen over here, right? I don't do that with these lessons. So it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more familiar, and more raw and more bare. Okay, but I promise I won't get bare, but this lesson is going to be bare. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at, first of all, the Phrygian and the Locrian, just to kind of revisit what we did in the last lesson, and then we will jump into what this lesson's topic is going to be about, and then again, it'll continue in the Patreon. So check it out. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit of Arrhythmia for you. This is what it sounds like. And I'm going to go ahead and play over it with the Phrygian scale and the Locrian scale. And remember, if you watch the last lesson, the Phrygian is kind of sitting within the Locrian in this song, or in this particular song. So it sounds kind of like this. All right, now the song itself, of course, switches from a Phrygian bass where it's droning over the E and then it goes into a Locrian sounding chorus, I guess you could call it that, where it goes like this. And that gets more of your Locrian sound. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we play the Phrygian and the Locrian, and then we'll look at the theory of pentatonic. So the Phrygian is going to be on the 5th string at 7, 8, 10, and then it's going to move to the 4th string at 7, 9, 10, and then the 3rd string at 7, 9, 10, and the 2nd string at 7 or 8, 8, 10, and then when we get to the 1st string, we're going to play 7, 8, 10. So that's your Phrygian. Now the cool thing is that to change this to Locrian, all you got to do is change or add the 6th string notes in, playing on the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and the 10th fret of the 6th string. But we're resolving back to that note, that B, because it's a B Phrygian, which is going to be, or actually it's a B Locrian, I'm sorry, which is going to be on the 7th fret of your 6th string. So that's your B Locrian right there. So once again, Locrian, Phrygian, basically the same notes. On Locrian, you're playing the 6th string, starting on that B note, which is at the 7th, 8th, and 10th. And then we get to the 5th string, which if you just started there, that'd be your Phrygian. 7th, 8th, and 10th on the 5th string. Then 7, 9, 10 on the 4th string and the 3rd string. Then we get to the 2nd string, playing 8, 10. I think in the previous lesson I said that was 7, 9, but it's actually 8, 10. So I made a mistake, so I'm rectifying that mistake right now. 8, 10, and then we get to the 1st string, it's going to be 7, 8, 10. Now I want you to listen to the song and hear when it changes from the verses to the chorus, how it's going to start sounding less Phrygian and more Locrian. So there's your verses. It's going to change in just a second. So I'm just going to play the whole shape from the 6th string to the 1st string. There's your change. Here I kind of resolves more back to that now. Right, especially right here. So basically what's happening is I'm using the same scale pretty much over the whole song, which all I'm playing is that one box of that scale, right? But I can go ahead and move that up and down the fretboard, not that scale, but the notes within that scale, where I can play I can play all of that over that song, and whether you're thinking about it as I'm playing in the B Locrian or I'm playing in the E Phrygian, it doesn't matter. You're basically playing the same notes over two different types of backing tracks within the same song that allows you to resolve back to either E or resolve back to B, depending on what you're playing over, and it's going to create a different kind of tension each time that you're playing. So that was kind of the purpose of the last lesson, to get you to understand that we can have a Locrian and a Phrygian relative shapes back to each other, and it would sound really good in this song. Now, let's think about pentatonic. So, something that I want to show you in this lesson that I'm not going to show you in the Patreon lesson, so this is actually some good stuff that you're going to get right now, is that you're going to go ahead and see how the pentatonic works with what I typically teach as the anchor shapes. So typically I teach these anchor shapes that are either a first finger, second finger, pinky shape, where I play first finger, second finger, pinky. We can find that in the Locrian shape on the 6th and the 5th strings at the 7th, 8th, and 10th. 7th, 8th, and 10th. So that is your first finger, second finger, pinky shape. And then the other shape is where you play the first finger, the ring finger, and the pinky. First finger, ring finger, pinky. Usually that connects together like a puzzle piece to the other shape that I just showed you. So that would be played if I went back on this scale and I went back to the 5th, 7th, and 8th, 5th, 7th, and 8th on the 6th and the 5th strings. First finger, second finger, pinky, first finger, second finger, pinky. Right there. So I'll show you one more time, get it in frame. So first finger, second finger, pinky, first finger, second finger, pinky, and then first finger, ring finger, pinky, first finger, ring finger, pinky. So playing on the 6th and the 5th strings at the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 8th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, and the 8th fret, and then on the 6th string and the 5th string at the 7th, the 8th, and the 10th, the 7th, 8th, and the 10th. They lock together like puzzle pieces right there where the 7th and the 8th frets meet. Now, if you keep on going, your typical box shapes are going to have a pattern of 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Okay, this is 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. So my first finger, my third finger, my pinky. Notice I'm playing on the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 8th fret. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. And then when I get to the next box on the 4th string, I want to play the 5th fret and the 7th fret. And I'm just using my first finger and my ring finger. So 1, 3, 1, 3. And then when I get to the next shape, I'm going to play what I just showed you here, where I'm playing the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and the 10th fret, 7th, 8th, 10th on the 6th and the 5th strings, which is my Locrian shape. That is my next pattern in this shape up here. So the shape above the one that I showed you is going to be 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, and then your Locrian shape, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Because it's across the 3rd and the 2nd strings, it's varied a little, but it's the same thing. It's that 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4 pattern where I'm playing my first finger, my middle finger, and my pinky, first finger, middle finger, pinky, or first finger, second finger, pinky, first finger, second finger, pinky. So it's going to be on the 4th fret, 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 3rd string, and then the 5th fret, the 6th fret, and the 8th fret of the 2nd string. But you notice it's the same notes that I'm playing when I play that B Locrian on the 6th string and the 5th string at 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10. It's the same notes. So going from there, your next shape, which is on the 1st string, is going to play the same thing as on the 6th string. Your pattern just starts over. It's a 5-string pattern. It's 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and then it goes back to 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. So it's a 5-string pattern. When you get to the 6th string, you're just starting the pattern over, playing the same thing you played, or the 1st string, you're playing the same thing that you played on the 6th string. So you're just going to play 1, 3, 4 again, which is going to be the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 8th fret. Now that's the pattern that's below your Locrian shape. So you've got 2 patterns now. And then this one. Okay? Now the reason I'm showing you all that, because you're probably thinking to yourself, how in the heck is this pentatonic? The reason I'm showing you all that is because when you find a 1, 2, 4 pattern, like on the 5th string there at the 7, 8, and 10, and then you find a 1, 3, 4 pattern, which by the way is in that Locrian / Phrygian shape on the 4th and the 3rd strings at the 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10. When you find that, where you have the 1, which is basically your Phrygian shape, your 1, 3, 4, or excuse me, your 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, which is on the 5th string at 7, 8, 10, and then on the 4th string at 7, 9, 10. When you find that, those are broad span shapes of a pentatonic. Where I'm going to play a whole step and a half step. So in this case, playing the 7th and the 10th. There's a previous lesson that I did where I showed you which notes to actually leave out. Like the 2nd and the 6th, I believe, is on most pentatonics. Leave out the 2nd and the 6th. This one, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to get into more detail on that when I get into the Patreon. Okay? So, and by the way, I do have a free course out there. Okay? I want to tell you about that too as well. Before I go on with this lesson, I got a free course out there. It's at tinyurl.com/DanH411. And when you sign in to that course, which is completely free, every time I do a Patreon, every time I do one of these lessons, and every time I do a Patreon, I'll shoot you an email and let you know that it's out. Okay? And occasionally when I do bonuses, and I put those for free on the Patreon for a limited time, I'll send you an email and say, hey, I got a bonus on the Patreon. It's free. You know, go check it out. It's only going to be available for a week or whatever. You know, go check that out. The free course is a lot of the theory that I'm teaching here, but without the constant jumps, right? Like in this lesson, I might show you one of the anchor shapes. In the next lesson, I show you a circular idea. In the next lesson, I show you something I call the star guitar method, which is taking do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do and moving it all around. But if you don't understand the foundation, you may get a little confused. The 7-day course gives you the foundation for how my crazy mind works and how I understand this stuff. So that 7-day course, which is about an hour to an hour and a half long. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but it's good. It's a good chunk of change. It's a good course, and it's a free course, and it'll show you how to unlock the fretboard and understand the code, and pick up the guitar and be able to play with ease and confidence. It's not that there's not work to it. Of course there is. You got to practice, and you got to play these things, and you got to get your muscle memory trained. But unlike a lot of teachers who explain to you how to memorize like a cage method or understand every single note or understand every single scale shape on the fretboard, which is kind of what I'm doing in this lesson, right? Like here's a shape, and here's a shape, and here's a shape, and here's a shape. If you understand the anchor shapes and you understand the circular nature and how things fit together like puzzle pieces, it makes it a whole lot easier once you understand that theory to come back and then play however you want to play, right? To train your fingers to go wherever you want them to go on the fretboard and just pick up the guitar and go. So again, that free course is at tinyurl.com/DanH411. So now back to this. This is what's really cool about this, is once you find that 1, 3, 4, the 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4 pattern. It's kind of in the middle. You got a 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and then a 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, right? If we go back to that previous shape, you got a 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, and then a 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and then a 1, 3, 4, right? So there's your 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4 on the 2nd string at 5, 6, 8, and then on the 1st string at 5, 7, 8. So I can just go ahead and play that whole step, half step with my first finger, my pinky, and just play the 5th fret and the 8th frets of the 1st and the 2nd strings. And that is going to be what I call the broad spans of the pentatonic. Now when I get back down to this original shape, which is my Phrygian shape and my Locrian shape, when I get back down here, that 1, 2, 4 and 1, 3, 4 again is on the 5th and the 4th strings. 5th string at 7, 8, 10, and 4th string at 7, 9, 10. So we can just go ahead and play the 7 and the 10. And that would basically work for the Locrian and the Phrygian. So what do you do next, right? Now I'll look at it in just a little bit, make sure that it works for the Phrygian and the Locrian, because it might be a little bit different for each one of those. and I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a second. But I'm going to show you how this shape sounds over the backing track first, and then we'll come back and look and see if there's any variation we can do. There is one variation we can do that I'm going to show you in the, what do you call it, the Patreon, which sounds like this. Which is really cool sounding. But I don't want to show it here because I think it's a little bit more complicated than what I want to get into right now. I'm sure I will get into this later, but I just want to save it for that because I think it's something that I really don't want you to play around with it unless you're feeling like really confident with what I'm going to show you in this lesson, okay? So it's kind of an extension lesson for enrichment. You know, if you feel like you're ready for that, then you can go check that out. But anyway, this right here, those broad spans, the 7-10, 7-10 on the 5th and the 4th strings, is going to lead into 3 small spans. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to play the same thing on the 1st string that I played on the 6th string, which will be this. So those small spans are going to be on the 3rd string at 7, 9, on the 2nd string at 8, 10, and on the 1st string at 8, 10. Remember, the 1st string plays the same thing that you play on the 6th string, so it'll also be 8, 10 on the 6th string. So there you go. You got 8, 10, you got 7, 10, 7, 10. You got 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. Or again, excuse me, 8, 10, 8, 10. Let's hear how that sounds over the backing track, just playing that shape right there. It could be over the, I'll back it up a little bit, just so we can see how it sounds over the E shape, the E backing track sound, and then when it gets into the Locrian, the B Locrian, how that sounds as well. Okay, this is your E right here. Now it's going, I mean, we didn't do that very long, but now it's going to the B, right? So you got this. So it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good over both of them. Okay, sorry about the sloppy playing, but it sounds pretty good over both of them. So that could be a Locrian, or a Phrygian sounding pentatonic, okay? And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how could that be both, right? And the answer is because we're using anchor shapes to find it. There's a way of thinking about it that is going to be different when we're looking at it and thinking to ourselves we're going to lose the 2nd and the 6th notes, which is what we did in one of our previous pentatonic lessons. See, in your typical Aeolian scale, which by the way is the one right below this, we already showed you that at the beginning. In your typical Aeolian scale, you have that 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. And if we skip every 2nd and 6th note, you get a typical Aeolian sounding pentatonic or a natural minor pentatonic. So 1, skip the 2, play the 3, 4, 5, skip the 6, play the 7, and then play the 1, skip the 2, play the 3, the 4, the 5, skip the 6, play the 7, skip the, play the 1, skip the 2, and play the 3, right? So you got that. So in that case, your Aeolian pentatonic, which would also fit on this song, okay, would be on the 6th string at 5, 8, on the 4th string, no, the 5th string, the 4th string, and the 3rd string at the 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. Then when I get to the 2nd string and the 1st string, I want to play 5, 8, 5, 8. You hear those broad spans, those. It's the same thing that I'm playing when I play on the 5th string and the 4th string at 7-9-7 or 7-10-7-10 on that original Locrian / Phrygian shape that I was playing. And then those 3 small spans, same thing. So it's all in there. It's all the same thing. So I can play both those shapes over this backing track. We can hear how that sounds. I'll just play the Locrian sounding part for right now. So here it is. Make the volume just a little bit. Hopefully you can hear my guitar and the music at the same time. But you got this. See, I went from one shape to the other shape. And of course, we could go up to the next one, right? It's all in there. Okay, so that pretty much gives you, I mean, what did I give you here? If you just watched this lesson, this is the only lesson you watched. You saw the Phrygian, the Locrian. You saw the Pentatonic that'll work with the Phrygian and the Locrian. Okay, one pentatonic shape shared between the 2 of them. And then even the Aeolian pentatonic shape, which will also work, and the Aeolian shape itself, the natural minor shape. So I'm looking at my time here. I'm realizing I'm already at 27 minutes. Time really flew by on this. So again, this is kind of what the bare bones bodegas look like. So if you really want an awesome lesson every month or so, and I put out bonuses as well. I've got some PDFs that I've been working on also. Some things where I'm actually transcribing some tab for you and some different shapes and diagrams and things like that. It's coming. I'm working on some courses. I'm working on more stuff for the Patreon page. A lot of different things. So if you're getting in now, you're kind of getting in on the ground floor. Again, it depends on when you're watching this. Again, this is March of 2024. If you're watching this in 2028 or 2035 or whatever, do we have flying cars yet? I'm curious. Because I know they're coming, right? A lot of people are using batteries. They're using in electric cars to make flying cars, right? So it's going to happen. So, all jokes aside, get the free course, tinyurl.com/dnh411. Get on my mailing list so I can let you know when I put out a new YouTube lesson. Don't depend on the algorithm, right? I mean, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. I want you to hit that little bell notification, and I want you to share this with your friends. And I'm fine with you sharing it on, don't copy it and, put it on your own channel or anything, but I'm fine with you sharing this on socials and things like that. Say, hey, look at this goofy guy teaching guitar lessons, right? I'm okay with that. But at the same time, if you want to stay fully updated, the best way is to get on my email list so that I can go ahead and send you when I put out a new YouTube lesson, when I put out a new Patreon. I've got a TrueFire affiliate that I'll send you whenever they're doing promotions. I'll let you know when they're doing that. You can sign up through that. It helps me out, helps me keep the channel going. It helps me, keep everything going that I'm doing. And I'll send you promotions when I'm doing specials and when I've got new courses coming out and things like that as well. I'm not really a pushy salesperson though. I'm mainly want you to get on the mailing list so that I can keep you informed when I'm doing things. You can unsubscribe at any time. Anything that I send you for free, you can keep. Okay? So, I mean, that's a good deal. And you're an adult, so if you don't like what I'm sending you, if you think I'm being too pushy, if you don't want it, unsubscribe. Matter of fact, if you don't open the emails every, 3 or 4 months, I'll probably unsubscribe you myself, because that's how you keep an email list clean, right? So that it won't go to spam and things like that, and you're following all the wonderful laws that are out there for canned spam and COPA and all that stuff. So please check that out, tinyurl.com/dnh411. Get yourself a free course. Like, subscribe, and share on here. Come back every week for new lessons. And again, this lesson, if you want to check out this kind of stuff where I'm going to be taking this song and playing this, and I'm showing you how to do this. is a little bit different version of the pentatonic. If you want to see how I'm doing that, then that is going to be on the Patreon. And I'm going to talk about the theory behind that, why I did it that way, and then we can talk, what do you call it? If you got any questions, you can ask me in the Bare Bones Bottega, in the Patreon itself. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next lesson.